Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Chapter 5, Diagon Alley. Hagrid helped Harry pile some into a bag. The gold ones are galleons, he explained. 17 silver sickles to a galleon and 29 knots to a sickle. It's easy enough. Right, that should be enough for a couple of terms. We'll keep the rest safe for ya. He turned to Griffook. Whoa, it's 713 now, please. And can we go more slowly? One speed only, said Griffook. They were going even deeper now and gathering speed. The air became colder and colder as they hurtled around tight corners. They were rattling over an underground ravine, and Harry leaned over the side to try and see what was down at the dark bottom. But Harry groaned and pulled him back by the scruff of the neck. Vault 713 had no keyhole. Stand back, said Griffook importantly. He stroked the door gently with one of his long fingers, and it simply melted away. If anyone but a Gringotts goblin tried that, they'd be stuck through the door and trampled in there, said Griffook. How often do you check to see if anyone's inside? Harry asked. About once every 10 years, said Griffook with a rather nasty grin. Something really extraordinary had to be inside this top security vault. Harry was sure. He leaned forward eagerly, expecting to see fabulous jewels at the very least, but at first he thought it was empty. Then he noticed a grubby little package wrapped up in brown paper lying on the floor. Hagrid picked it up and tucked it deep inside his coat. Harry longed to know what it was, but knew better than to ask. Come on, back in final cart, and don't talk to me on the way back. It's best if I keep me mouth shut, said Hagrid. One wild cart later, they stood blinking in the sunlight outside Gringotts. Harry didn't know where to run first now that he had a bag full of money. He didn't have to know how many galleons there were to a pound to know that he was holding more money than he'd had in his whole life, more money than even Dudley had ever had. Might as well get your uniform, said Hagrid, nodding towards Madame Melkin's robes for all occasions. Listen, Harry, would you mind if I slipped off and pick me up in the leaky cauldron? I hate them Gringotts cars. He did still look a bit sick, so Harry entered Madame Melkin's shop alone, feeling nervous. Madame Melkin was a squat, smiling witch dressed all in mauve. Hogwarts, dear, she said, when Harry started to speak. Got the Lord here, another young man being lifted up just now, in fact. In the back of the shop, a boy with a pale, pointed face was standing on a footstool, while a second witch pinned up his long black robes. Madame Melkin stood Harry on a stool next to him, slipped a long rope over his head, and began to pin it into the right length. Hello, said the boy. Hogwarts too? Yeah, said Harry. My father's next door buying me books, and mother's up in the street looking at once. So this is the boy. You will see him a bit later. He had a bored, drawling voice. When I'm going to drag them off to look at racing brooms, I don't see why first years can't have their own. I think I'll bully father into getting me one, and I smuggle it in somehow. Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley. Have you got your own broom? The boy went on. No, said Harry. Play Quidditch at all? No, said Harry again, wondering what on earth Quidditch could be. I do. Father says it's a crime if I'm not picked to play for my house, and I must say I agree. Know what house you'll be in yet? No, said Harry, feeling more stupid by the minute. Well, no one really knows until they get there, do they? But I know I'll be in Slytherin. All our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff. I think I'd leave, wouldn't you? Said Harry, wishing he could say something a bit more interesting. I say, look at that man, said the boy suddenly, nodding towards the front window. Hagrid was standing there, grinning at Harry and pointing at two large ice creams to show he couldn't come in. That's Hagrid, said Harry, pleased to know something the boy didn't. He works at Hogwarts. Oh, said the boy, I've heard of him. He's a sort of servant, isn't he? he's the gamekeeper, said Harry. He was liking the boy less and less every second. Yeah, exactly. I heard he's a sort of savage. Lives in a hut in the school grounds, and every now and then he gets drunk, tries to do magic, and heads up setting fire to his bed. I think he's brilliant, said Harry coldly. Do you? Said the boy with a slight sneer. Why is he with you? Where are your parents? They're dead, said Harry shortly. He didn't feel much like going into the matter of this boy. Oh, sorry, said the other, not sounding sorry at all. But they were our kind, weren't they? They were witch and wizard, if that's what you mean. I really don't think they should let the others sort in, do you? They're just not the same. They've never been brought up to know our ways. Some of them have never ever heard of Hogwarts until they get the letter. Imagine! I think they should keep it in the old wizarding families. What's your surname anyway? But before Harry could answer, Madame Malkin said, That's you done, my dear. And Harry, not sorry for an excuse to stop talking to the boy, hopped down from the stool. Well, I'll see you at Hogwarts, I suppose, said the drooling boy. Harry was rather quiet, and he ate ice cream Hagrid had bought him, chocolate and raspberry with chopped nuts. What's up? Said Hagrid. Nothing, Harry lied. They stopped to buy parchment and quills. Harry cheered up a bit when he found a bottle of ink that changed color as you wrote. When they had left the shop, he said, Hagrid, what's Quidditch? Blimey, Harry, I keep forgetting how little you know, not knowing about Quidditch. Don't make me feel worse, said Harry. He told Hagrid about the pale boy and Madame Malkins. And he said people from Muggle families shouldn't be allowed in. You're not from a Muggle family? If he'd known who you were, him grown up knowing your name with his parents are wizarding folk. You saw him in the Leaky Cauldron. Anyway, what does he know about it? Some of the best I ever saw, there was the only ones with magic in them a long time of Muggles. Look at your mom. Oh, look, what she had for a sister. So what is Quidditch? It's our sport, a wizard sport. It's like football in the Muggle world. Everyone follows Quidditch. Played up in the air on broomsticks, and there's 4 balls. Sorta hard to explain the rules. And what is Slytherin and Hufflepuff? Schoolhouses, there's 4. Everyone says Hufflepuff a lot of duffers, but I bet I'm a Hufflepuff, said Harry gloomily. But a Hufflepuff than Slytherin, said Hagrid darkly. There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. You know who was one. Well, you know who was at Hogwarts? Yeah, years and years ago, said Hagrid. They bought Harry's school books in a shop called Flourish at Blots, where the shelves were stacked to the ceiling with books as large as paving stones bound in leather, books the size of postage stamps in covers of silk, books full of special symbols, and a few books with nothing in them at all. Even Dudley, who never read anything, would have been wild to get his hands on some of these. Hagrid almost had to drag Harry away from the curses and conses. Bewitch your friends and befall your enemies with the latest revenges. Hair loss, jelly legs, tongue tying, and much, much more. By Professor Vendelis Verdian. I was trying to find out how to curse Dudley. I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but you're not to use magic in the Muggle world, except in very special circumstances, said Hagrid. And anyway, you couldn't walk any of them of the curses yet. You'll need a lot more study before you get that level. Hagrid wouldn't let Harry buy a solid cold cauldron either. Harry said, so it says put on your list. But they got a nice set of scales for within potion ingredients, had an collapsible brass telescope. Then they visited the apothecary, which was fascinating enough to make up for its horrible smell, a mixture of bad eggs and rotten cabbages. Barrels of slimy stuff stood on the floor. Jars of herbs, dried roots, and white powders lined the walls. Bundles of feathers, strings of wands, and snarled clothes hung from the ceiling. While Hagrid asked the man behind the counter for a supply of some basic potion ingredients for Harry, Harry himself examined silver unicorn horns at 21 galleons each, and a minuscule, glittery black beetle eyes. 5 knots a scoop. Outside the apothecary's, Hagrid checked Harry's list again. Just your wand left. Oh, yeah, and I still haven't got your birthday present. Harry felt himself go red. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Tell you what, I'll get you an animal. Not a toad. Toads went out of fashion years ago. You'd be laughed at, and I don't like cats. They make me sneeze. I'll get you an owl. All the kids want owls. They're dead useful. Carry your post and everything.